time that happens.
Do we want to push that maybe to next month?
Also, how can we do it? 'Cause we don't have a, who was the co-chair? Are you co-chair? Or are you co-chair?
Co-chair of P&Z.
Who was co-chair here then?
I forget. I really forget.
Maybe it was Aaron. Was it Aaron then?
Maybe.
Oh, I bet it was.
It might have been
Aaron.
Aaron.
Okay.
That's funny.
All right, so we don't have a chair or a co-chair officially here
We
tonight.
are on.
So does it matter who does it?
Acting co-chair.
Acting co-chair then.
We could maybe table the appointment until next couple of weeks, but we'll still need some.
Then with Aaron as a new member, can we just table our nominations to next month? Just go with
Yeah, I would table it.
Okay.
I can give it a
Because the other two. I offer, generally offer to the applicant to see if they want to table it to the next one.
Okay.
Where we have full contact. Rather than.
Yeah,
If they need a decision, they're gonna.
I think I go through.
Okay.
Whereas I was typically offer that, like, if you like, you can give a full copy of it, but if you're requesting a table, we can formally request it here at the meeting. We can't do it before the deadline.
Okay, I would like to call this Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order for March 12th, 2025 at 6:30. Can we have roll call, please?
Yep. Ms. McCoy,
Here?
Ms. DiGirolamo, Mr. Robbins. Here. Mr. Harriman.
Here.
The second thing on our agenda is appointment of chair and vice chair for 2025. Do we have any nominations?
I would motion to table that since we're having a new member join and Mr. Arthur, who was co-chair, is not here. I don't think, I don't know, I don't think it'd be appropriate to nominate her or not nominate her without her being here, so
I second.
if we could do that, okay.
Mr. Harriman,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
Ms. McCoy.
Yes. And then moving on, approval of minutes from the December 11th, 2024 meeting.
Were you at the last meeting?
All three of you were.
We all three, I
present.
couldn't remember. It's been a
Second.
while. So, motion to approve our Board of Zoning Appeal minutes from December 11th, 2024.
One second.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
Ms. McCoy,
Yes.
Mr. Harriman.
Yes.
And then on to communication, and that would be Mr. Hutchinson.
Yeah, so don't have much of an update tonight since we're a couple of members short. We do have our new appointee here who will be here joining us. Jamari will be joining us maybe next month, depending on scheduling conflict, but he will be our new 5th member. So we'll be back to a full 5-member board. So looking forward to getting everyone back, and I don't know if we have anything yet for next month as of right
As
now.
right now, nothing for next month.
So we'll just keep our eye on it.
For P and Z, there's,
For BZA.
For BZA.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. And then moving forward, do we have any public comment? And that looks like that is a no. Do we have any old business? That would be a no. Let's move on to our new business. First on the agenda is public hearing for variance -25-1.
You want me to go?
Yeah, go.
Yes.
All right, so this is a application for a variance for projecting sign in the B3 district. The applicant is Mr. Race Robinson, and he's the owner and applicant for 114 West Main Street. Mr. Robinson is proposing a roughly 41 square foot sign projecting from the building, and this is a multi-tenant projecting sign that will have up to 4 removable tenant panels. Here I'll zoom in a little bit. Typically, our sign code states that a projecting sign shall not exceed 9 square feet in area. So the variance is to exceed that square footage requirement and we have indicated that we are in favor of this variance application on the condition that in the future it be applied strictly for a multi-tenant sign, multi-tenant panel sign, projecting sign. So if you guys have any questions.
And just a little more, so you guys know too, we have a new proposed sign code coming to P and Z. And in that sign code, multi-tenant projecting sign is being proposed in there. So this is very similar to what will be approved, that will be in the sign code. It's a little bit larger than what would be proposed, but this along the lines is something very similar to what's being proposed in the new sign code.
So, and this may be more of a question on the sign and,
Do you want me to go up there to answer? Or?
Yeah, come on up.
okay.
I just want to make sure I wasn't.
No,
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the one four.
Oh, Race Robinson, the applicant, I guess.
Okay, so the 114 West kind of matches with what the address of the building is, correct?
That's correct, yeah.
114 West Main Street.
That's correct. It's that top portion above the Bourbon and Cocktail Club is a blend of the address, but also their logo. We took their font and design and incorporated that, so that'll stay permanent,
Okay.
even if they left.
And that was kind of gonna be the question, was kind of the back part, so if the bourbon and cocktail, if that left, that panel could be replaced if another tenant comes in, but the main 114 West would still be
Correct.
with it, okay?
Yep, good question. Same with the below panels.
So the orientation race on, where it says, the Bourbon and Cocktail Club members only over to the left.
Mhm.
Is that also, what orientation is the one in the middle then?
Is that the back?
I don't know what you're asking.
I'm sorry, so like, is this here also?
I don't know what the,
Okay.
I didn't
Yeah,
make
right.
that. The sign, I would assume they were just making like a mock of the font.
Okay,
so
I didn't know if
I
this-
don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would there ever be more than those? I mean, tenants, that's all that the building can house?
It's a good question. So, if I may, I'll step back and just like the purpose.
Yeah.
So the first floor of the building is very distinct, has walking traffic, foot traffic from the actual sidewalk, right? And they all have their own signs, which have already gone through this process appropriately. Our intention of doing this in a standard single projecting sign is to not litter the $2.5 million building we just completely renovated, right? And to make sure that we do the right thing for that and not litter the face of it with a bunch of other signs. So I've looked at a ton of, as you probably have seen, old historical pictures where there's random stuff hanging off of the buildings. And, it says Plain City, it says McCune, it's got the cool date. We've done a good job restoring and appropriately doing that. The last thing I want to do is litter the face of that with all these different things. So we looked for a unique way to combine the number for the building, but then those 4 tenants. So the bottom 3 tenants in white represent all 3 tenant spaces on the second floor of the property. And then that black portion where it says Bourbon and Cocktail Club members only is designated to the 3rd floor tenant solely. So we only have, the 2 or 3 spaces on the 1st floor, the 3 spaces on the 2nd floor, and the single tenant on the 1st floor. In theory, in the future, let's just say Bourbon and Cocktail Club goes somewhere, dissolves, whatever. We probably could divide that space into 1 or 2 different tenants or whatever, or we'd probably have to go through something else for apartments or something like that, which I don't want to do, frankly. So, in theory, that could change with the number of tenants, but our intention, and I don't know if any of you have been up there, but with that space is to keep it like that as much as we possibly can. I can't predict the future, but that's our intention today. And we did sign a 5-year lease with her, so seems to be going all right so far.
So right now, those tenants each of those uses could have a projecting sign up there. So there could potentially be 4 individual signs up there. How the new sign code is actually going is similar to this. Like I mentioned, it's going to eliminate that. The only thing in the 2nd or 3rd floor is going to be a 1 sign. So so it doesn't litter all the buildings with multiple signs. So this is very similar to the direction that we're proposing for sign code.
And this, I think it says this in the reading here, but this prevents duplicate signs, right? So they're all gonna have one sign all in a row like this. And then the businesses on the second floor can't also have like their own sign on the second floor.
Right.
Now, they actually could.
Yeah. But if this variance were approved, it would prevent them from having like a duplicate sign like that.
Yeah, they wouldn't be, yeah, because this sign would cover that.
Okay.
In our staff report, we're making the recommendation that if the variance is granted, that the condition is that this size sign, the sign that's being, that would be approved, stays as a multi-tenant sign, that therefore, if this building should sell, all the business should go, someone can't come in and just do a 40 square foot single-use sign. So
Okay.
this would be, that's our ask there for if the board chooses to approve, to put conditions on it, that this sign is only used as multi-tenant.
Okay. And then as to her point, if the tenants were to grow or shrink, they would have to use that same available square footage for their sign.
Yeah, this is just for the second and third floor, yeah. First level, ground stories they could do their own wall sign or projection sign.
We've also baked into our lease language that obviously you have zoning codes. So we've baked that into our lease language that you can't come to us for signage. You need to come to the Board of Zoning Appeals, follow their guidelines, what have you. And they've done that on the first floor. The second floor, I've actually been getting a lot of heat from those tenants because they want signs like ASAP. I'm like, oh, hold off, right? Because we wanted to do something more meaningful. And I think as things happen in the uptown of Plain City, you're going to see some more creative projecting signs like this, which is just different, or something else that might come down the pipe or whatever. But we're just trying to be thoughtful so it's classy and not just chaos, right?
So the font is their font, right? Like, for the tenants, it's not.
It's their font for the third floor tenant, but we're basically adopting that as the building font for that address, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would there be room, because I think the name of it's 114 West for the, is that correct?
Yeah, Bourbon and Cocktail
Bourbon
Club,
Cocktail.
yeah.
Would there be, like, if they ever changed, if you needed to put like 114 West, like Main below it to basically signify the difference, or is like just having 114 West, I'm sorry, 114 West, you know, so it kind of identifies the address, just thinking if you had Main on there would be, you know, appropriate more of the building, and then, you know, if you had the other tenants swap over, it's like, you know, each one's kind of that building.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Do you mind if I look at something real quick?
Yeah.
While you're discussing, if you have another question, I just want to make sure
Just from our procedure wise, if, you know, so the sign code, he's gonna pull a sign permit, and the sign permit will be approved for whatever he's submitting. So if this is exactly what he's submitting, that's what's being approved. So any changes to that sign, it has to come back through and to get either a revised permit or a new permit.
Okay.
even if you shrunk the font and added Main, for example,
Yeah, if we
even that
changed-
smaller
yeah,
change?
Yeah. Now, when new tenants come in, and since those are kind of preset, those down there, if they're just changing sign for sign, we're still gonna do a sign permit. We may not charge the full amount just because it's just a swap. We don't control content on signs. But as long as the structural is not changing, and if that one's identified as the building, if there's a change like that, that upper part changes, then we would.
So adding Main, would it be an additional variance?
No, it wouldn't, no, if a variance is granted for this sign, then that size sign, multi-tenant sign is permitted. So let's just say even if you went to a different design, it would just be a sign permit through us, it wouldn't come back. to
Okay.
Okay.
The only time it'd come back here is if it was either going there or doing something that was not permitted per code.
I actually like the thought of putting Main on there, and what I was doing was I was double checking her official name. It actually is 114 West Main, Bourbon.
Okay.
So I wouldn't mind actually submitting or altering this, and then we can resubmit an image or something like
Yeah,
that to shrink that a little bit and add the word Main, the same direction as the Bourbon, right below it.
Yeah, right below.
At the bottom to change it a little bit to fit that. And if she leaves, it's always 114 West Main, right? So
Yeah.
I wouldn't, that actually makes a lot of sense,
Okay.
frankly. So, touche.
The other question I had, I was just trying to see, illumination with anything, how's that, are they going, is it
Yeah, our intention was just that the black portion of that is illuminated. The bottom 3 white panels are not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. Those businesses aren't open at night
Okay.
like that. Like 114 West Main Bourbon and Cocktail Club would be until 10 or 11 or whatever that is. So.
And Race, is it just the lettering that will be lit up?
Mhm. Yep. So it'll basically be just like the silo or the granary or whatever he proposes in the future, or has Pioneer Pizza or even Front Porch Home, right? It's all black casing with
Yeah.
just the letters that are lit up from behind. Yeah.
Do we have anything for and I mean, be the Sun Valor stuff, for like the illumination, for like the amount of the lumens the signs can be? Because I know the LEDs are getting to be, I mean, pretty good with. the
Yeah,
brightness.
there is, so yeah, in our code, there is a sign or a limit to what that is. I have rarely seen those, especially on any size sign like this. I've never seen it. I'm sure it could be done, but I've never seen that though. But the aluminums are submitted with the manufacturer. They submit what those are. As long as they're within limits, they're permitted.
I figure this one's probably not gonna be like a real bright one, but just.
Yeah. I mean, those letters and numbers are pretty skinny.
Yeah.
For the most part, it's just kind of an elegant look. So we liked her font and rolled with that just to make it all blend. But yeah, and then all 4 of those individual panels, then, as you can see in the corners, have the black screws. So if, like, actually, for example, Skin Era is going to be moving out, so you would see a replacement sign for Firefly, something or other. They do like IV hydration and Botox and stuff like that. They're going to take over that space probably starting in on May 1st. So we'll probably have them submit another app to change that panel at that time or whatever. And they've signed a 2-year lease with us. So anyways, so it would be easy just to unscrew. It won't happen in this case because we'll give it to the sign manufacturer, right? To just do it on the front end. But in that instance, if this was installed, it's literally 4 screws on each side, replace, off we go, right?
Okay.
Super maintenance free. And I think that's just acrylic vinyl, whatever it says, Lumina-Face vinyl graphic, yeah. On those.
Any more questions?
I don't have it.
I just have probably a really quick one. Is this just the one sign on this side of the street, or would there be another one on, I guess, the street going the other way?
No, this is just on the West Main side of the building, on the south side of the building, West Main Street piece. None of these, technically, none of our suites have anything to do with North Chillicothe at all. So even like Britt the barber, she's connected technically to Gabe, Old American Barbershop.
Yep.
So they share, 110 West Main or whatever it is.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, good question. So, anything else?
Good.
Do you guys can go ahead and close the public hearing?
Well, can we note that we will alter and submit an altered image to add the main at the bottom and shrink the west or something like that?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
And then that'll save me from having to come back. Is that accurate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, so if this is approved tonight, they're not approving the design.
Okay.
They're approving the size right
Okay.
now. So, yeah, so
Okay.
since it hasn't been approved, we can make those adjustments
Okay.
afterwards.
Cool.
So a
Thank you.
motion to close public hearing for variance -25-1.
Oh, yeah, we can just close it.
Second.
Wonderful. So we can move forward to evaluate the criteria for finding of facts for variance -25-1. So we would need to look at ordinance 1138.05C3A, and that said area variance will not be contrary to public interest. Any comment on that?
Seems to be in the benefit of public interest,
Okay.
consolidating all signs into one.
And nobody was here speaking against it either.
Also true.
I concur. Moving forward, for ordinance 1138.05C3B, that said area variance is justified due to special conditions. Any comment on that?
I would say it's moving closer to what our new sign code change is going to be coming in the future for the multi-tenant buildings. I know the size would be just a little bit larger, but I do think the scaling and the design of it is appropriate for the building that it's going on and the location.
I would agree. And moving forward, we have ordinance 113805C3C, that the literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties. The factors to be considered and weighed in determining whether practical difficulties have been encountered shall include, but not be limited to, the following. Number one, this is the 113805C3C1. The first question is whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance.
For sure would still be usable.
I mean, there's tenants currently in it, so yes.
I would agree. 113805C3C2, whether the variance is substantial.
In light of the new zoning code, I don't think it's substantial. I think you just said it's a minor increase over what would be
Yeah.
permitted.
Yeah, so what's being proposed is 32 square feet.
Okay, and this is 40,
Yeah, so this,
41, okay, so 10 feet over.
but based off the 9 square foot that it is, I mean.
That's
that-
substantial.
That
That's
is
very
substantial
substantial.
from what today's code is, yes.
Mhm.
Okay, yeah, so substantial from today's variance, yes.
Okay, so number 3, that 113805C3C3, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
I don't think the neighborhood would be substantially altered or the adjoining properties be substantially detriment to it with that variance. And I think it just will match kind of the
Vibe of
change
the
of
area.
decor, the theme of the new uptown area.
And the lighting shouldn't be intrusive. That was a good call out from you.
So I don't think there's a substantial detriment either to the neighborhood. I think it is all cohesive. So moving forward, we will go to number 4, ordinance 113805C3C4, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services like water, sewer, garbage.
No.
It could block
Other-
water supply.
I don't think it's not near any of the power lines or anything there going across there.
No, actually, the village, council and all, I guess, the entire government helped us out with removing the old power lines.
I say, 'cause
that run across there.
That was what we got down at, we got under there, didn't we?
Yeah, so that was pretty awesome, so this definitely
Okay,
plays a part in cleaning it up, if you will.
okay, moving forward. Number 5, with ordinance 113805C3C5, whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction.
I think yes. I think you mentioned that it was, I mean, you've even written it into your contract language with the tenants. Yeah? Yeah.
Okay. And number 6, for 113805C3C6, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance.
I think we said each individual business could put a sign up, but I think then we would just have this kind of more sign garbage all up on the building. I think this would be a lot cleaner look.
I agree. And 113805C3D, the spirit of the zoning ordinance will be observed and substantial justice done if the area variance is granted.
Well, I'm trying to go with, I know our new zoning change would be
Yeah.
more in line with that, but that's not what we currently have, so, but I do think the spirit of where we were trying to go with stuff,
True. Yeah, lines of
matches
future vision.
the variance.
I would agree that in the spirit of the zoning ordinance, yeah. Okay, and then the last one would be ordinance 113805 C3E, that the variance is based on need, not convenience or profit.
Seems like a convenience type deal, but still more,
I think the businesses have a
I mean-
need to have the public know where they are.
I would say the businesses need to have
Mhm.
advertisement. I mean, granted, you have a business to have profit. I would assume most businesses want to make a profit, so, but, I mean, they do need to have a sign to advertise where they're located, so.
So while they're doing that, for those who've never been to one of these meetings, so these findings of facts, so what's gonna happen now is, it's basically like minutes for a meeting. They're gonna be typing these up and that they're gonna review them and vote on the findings of facts to accept those. And then the board will make a ruling on the variance request. And this will happen for all the applicants tonight.
Okay, yeah, I'll get on that tomorrow. I think you sent me the one for the conditional use. It should be the one for VAR 25-1. Yeah, this one's just blank.
Good going, Paul.
we'll start with letter A up there, if you guys want to review.
Move forward.
Yep.
Okay.
Good to go.
And we just, motion to approve it.
Yes, we'll do the findings facts first and then the actual variance.
How long do you handle the last part?
Yep, I'll get all that.
You know, after they decide.
So where's the finding?
Yeah, so you're just, you're,
Approving what they've written up here.
I'm sorry?
We're just approving what they've written up here, so like agreeing that they like accurately recorded our discussion.
Okay. So I just need to have
Motion to
Someone-
approve findings. of
a
fact.
motion to approve findings and facts.
Second, third.
Thank you.
Mr. Harriman,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
Ms. McCoy.
Yes,
And then now you go to the variance.
and now we can, okay. Okay, so I would like to put a motion in to approve, for approval of variance dash 25-1.
So I would motion to approve variance 25-1 with the conditions that it's for the multi-tenant, and correct me, make sure I get the phrasing, multi-tenant use building for the signs.
yeah, that the sign remains as a, Multi-tenant.
Multi-tenant
Projecting
use.
sign.
Yes.
Second,
Ms. McCoy,
Yes,
Mr. Robbins,
yes.
Mr. Harriman.
Yes.
You want to type that in.
Yep.
You know, 10 years from now, we're not figuring out what the hell happened.
I'll get all this cleaned up and sent out tomorrow for signature. Should we send it to Mr. Harriman just as the acting member tonight?
let's, since Diana mentioned,
That's true.
yeah, send it to her.
I'll send it.
would I need to sign that then, since acting chair?
Yeah, so it'll be electronic form, so all you have
Okay.
to do is, it's
Okay.
like,
So basically, we just have to get one board
Okay.
member's signature on the findings facts.
Okay. And then be appropriate to move on to the
Yep.
other, okay. So I'd like to move forward with the public hearing for variance dash 25-2 from section 1183 dot 12 for fences. The applicant is Mr. Adam Callender.
Yeah, so this is a variance for the property at 1359 Conductor Drive. This is out in Darby Station. And the board has reviewed some similar variance requests actually along this same street recently, or I guess last summer and
In
last fall.
August, yeah.
So both of these properties here also had the same variance request come in. So it is for this property here, and it's essentially to allow a 4-foot tall fence to go up to 10 feet beyond this front building line off of Slippery Rail Drive. So our current code states that any fence that goes beyond the front building line of a property should be limited to 3 feet in height and also have at least 50% level of transparency. And so also in the code, it defines any property with 2 street frontages or a corner lot technically has 2 front yards. So where that first building line, you would think, okay, that's the front of the house. What most people would consider to be the side of their property, that's actually a second front yard, based on how our code reads. So this is the front building line here. It comes off 25 feet from this property line. And so the applicant is requesting that a 4-foot tall fence, it's aluminum, black aluminum, and it does provide transparency between each rail to go out 10 feet beyond that building line. And I'll pull up.
So as he mentioned, this is almost exactly like the previous ones we have. So, so what we do when we evaluate our ordinances and our codes, a lot of code changes, if not just for environmental change or conditions and economic conditions that cause us to change these things. One thing we do look at is if we're constantly getting something for a variance that repeats itself, that's something we should look at. It's common in any municipality, corner lots, or they have 2 front yards. So anything that goes past that is, so we are looking into that now to possibly set a 10-foot max for the side yards. Now that is given that it doesn't cause an obstruction in view. So this corner lot, for example, has enough of a building setback, and that side yard is far away enough from that intersection that it's not going to impede your vision. So we feel pretty comfortable that would. Now, let's just say we change that code and it's 10 foot and someone comes in and they're proposing a 10 foot, well, they submit a permit for a 10 foot out and it impedes the vision, then we would not be able to approve that permit. So, but for most cases, at least what we're seeing so far here in this past year or two is that 10 foot out, especially in a lot of our newer developments, it's working.
And is it indicative of the corner lots?
Yes, yeah, so interior lots, that's just, yeah, so interior lots, they could have those fences up to the front building line of their house.
Mm.
But because of the, and you could, unfair or not, but interior lots could outline their entire backyard. Side lots, you don't have a backyard, you have 2 front yards, therefore you can't extend that out as far as you want on that side of the road to enlarge your rear yard. And it is, the main cause of it is just not to impede vision at an intersection. Yeah. So some houses may be closer, so maybe in some of our older neighborhoods where houses are closer to the road, they wouldn't be able to come off at all. But at least allowing that 10 foot when there's room allowed and it doesn't impede your vision, it makes sense.
I appreciate it. That was going to kind of be my comments. Like, seems like this has been what our boards handled pretty much all in 2024 was like, okay, how can we fix that just to make it convenient for the residents?
Yeah.
To not have to sweat through the process of coming here.
Yeah.
To get a fence or delay them getting a fence if they need it for dogs or anything like that, or kids.
And the applicant is here tonight. If you have any questions or if you have anything else you want to add.
Sure, if you'd like.
Yes, if I may, Adam Callender for the record. I reside at 1359 Conductor Drive. Thank you for your time, Mr. Powers.
Yep,
Nice to
no
meet you in
problem.
person.
As well.
The email correspondence. If you don't mind, could you pull up the Google Earth picture?
Yep.
To further highlight and reinforce the sight lines with regard to the setbacks and corner lots. So my front porch faces Conductor. If you were to travel Conductor to the stop sign and turn right onto Slippery Rail to basically travel northwest down my side yard. There is no parking on my side of the street. So that would further alleviate any pedestrian foot traffic sightlines or vehicular sightlines as well, on top of the black aluminum, which in my opinion reinforces the best the sightlines, whereas some corner lots do have the board-on-board wood privacy 4 foot or the white vinyl privacy 4 foot. So I was just trying to marry all of those things best I could.
Yeah, and that's another thing, some of the previous variance requests were for complete privacy fences. This is, you know, if it was 3 feet in height, this would meet code, wouldn't need a variance, but that 4 foot is what, you know, kicks it up into needing a variance.
But this variance though is for the distance, not for the
distance.
material. So
Yeah.
if we grant this and they decide to go with a wood solid fence, they can. But that's similar to the other ones that were approved too. As long as it's not impeding that vision, that 10 foot, that's kind of what where we're looking at going.
And I'm sure it complies with the HOA, but just, you know, they're separate between our board and the HOA. So even though like we could say it's good, if the HOA says it doesn't like it, you know, still have to deal with them separately.
Correct. And I believe you may have dropped that in the packet. It's Associa Property Management. They're one of the big conglomerates in Central Ohio. They just on the 5th of this month finally got back after we had to pry from dropping it to you February 3rd for approval. They finally got back and essentially, well, not essentially, I mean, to the point, they mirror village ordinance.
Okay.
They said, my build line on my side yard, which faces slippery rail, is 4 feet off. We approve up to 10, no more than 10 more.
Okay.
So that's why my request is 14
So
there.
you can see here, it's got the setback from the actual property line to the home is 29 feet. 25-foot build line is what's required. So you have 4 feet here, 10 feet beyond that building line, if that makes sense. It's 14 feet total, but it's only going out 10 feet beyond that build line.
But even a foot after right now would require a variance. It has to be right at that corner.
But it still says more than 10 feet off the street, like required. Like, so like this is 10 feet and then it's stopping even before that, so it's like 15 feet off street.
Yeah, oh yeah. There's
Yeah.
plenty of,
Yeah,
there's
this-
plenty of room.
This is just an easement here, but yeah, we would measure from the build line towards the street.
Okay.
10
So even
feet.
after this, it was still at 15 feet.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
And just to clarify, if you were to, Mr. Calendar would change the material,
Mhm.
that would then create another variance
No.
or no?
No.
Okay.
Now, it would create another zoning permit, but not a variance. 'Cause
Okay.
once the variance is granted, it stays with that property. So any fence will be able to go out there at the height that we set that at, out 10 feet past.
Okay.
But you did say the black aluminum meets the opacity requirements, like it's still 50% visible.
Oh, yeah, it's even, yeah, and it's,
More than that even?
yeah, oh, yeah, because obviously, privacy fence can't see through it all. So this one is even better. So I mean, this is the best case scenario in a corner.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Roughly about 4 inches between each rail.
Nice.
But even if they chose to down the line, or even before they have, if they choose to go solid, it's still, we're not going to have a vision impediment there.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
So motion to close public hearing for variance for VAR 25-2.
Can you just close it?
Opposed to.
You know, so you can just do that.
It's my new rule.
Yeah, you're so powerful now.
Okay. Would like to move forward to evaluate the criteria for findings of facts for VAR 25-2. Okay, so ordinance 1138 05C3A, that said area variance will not be contrary to public interest.
I don't think it would be controversial.
Is it for,
I would agree.
Yep.
Did you guys go with the village planner?
Ordinance 1138 05C3B, that said area variance is justified due to special conditions.
I think as Ms. Powers highlighted, being on the corner lot with having no side yard, basically having 2 front yards, I would say with the justification.
I would agree. Ordinance 113805C3C, that the literal enforcement of the zoning ordinance will result in practical difficulties. The factors to be considered and weighed in determining whether practical difficulties have been encountered shall include, but not be limited to, the following. And number one, ordinance 113805C3C1, whether there can be any beneficial use of the property without the variance.
Yes, I mean, it's just would be a smaller fenced-in area by, 14 feet.
They were in the house, but yeah.
I would agree. Number two, ordinance 113805C3C2, whether the variance is substantial.
I would say,
Would not argue it's substantial. Feels
No,
like
I would
not.
it's becoming a little bit routine.
Yes. Moving on to number three, ordinance 113805C3C3, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or whether adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance.
I would say not, and probably considering, I think we've met half your neighbors or everyone who lives on a corner lot here.
Yeah.
Past year.
Yes. Moving forward on to number four, ordinance 113805C3C4, whether the variance would adversely affect the delivery of governmental services like water, sewer, garbage. I do not see how it would affect any of those services.
Not gonna like block out the trash.
Moving on to number five, ordinance 113805C3C5, whether the property owner purchased the property with knowledge of the zoning restriction.
I don't know if you knew the
It's
fence stuff, I mean.
I would say most commonly,
Probably
no,
no.
probably
not,
not.
yeah.
No, especially if you drove through and saw fences out corner
Other
lots.
people having them, yeah.
Yeah.
Did not.
In the 20 years I've been doing this, only one person I've ever had said, yes, they admitted, yes, they read the code before they moved in. It's only happened once.
It's not gonna allow that to be an exception or basis for, again, I agree with Mr. Hutchinson, it's never, like, I've never heard anybody say, oh, yeah, I knew that when I read the code before I bought my house, read through the law, I knew that there were restrictions on it. Nobody does that, but we can't allow that to be the sole basis, one way or the other, but, to say, well, I didn't know about the law. My realm is the law, ignorance of the law is no excuse, so.
I didn't know you enforced the speeding regulations in this town.
I don't.
Is that something that we need to ask the applicant?
Yeah, I think moving forward, yeah.
Okay.
We can put that in the application.
Yeah, we'll actually put that in the application.
Yeah, okay. Okay, moving forward to number six, ordinance 113805C3C6, whether the property owner's predicament feasibly can be obviated through some method other than a variance.
I don't
No, I
know
think
any
this is
other
the-
way to extend the fence.
Neither do I.
This is the appropriate channel.
And ordinance 113805C3D, the spirit of the zoning ordinance will be observed and substantial justice done if the area variance is granted.
I don't know about substantial justice, but this is in line with previous rulings or decisions that have come through here.
I would agree with. Okay. And then lastly, ordinance 113805C3E, that the variance is based on need, not convenience or profit.
I would say it's more of a need to just properly fence in the yard, kind of utilize the space of their backyard.
Would agree with Mr. Harriman.
next one, the conditional use, we don't have to go through all the findings of facts. Those only have very specific ones.
Oh, yes, right here.
You take twice as long to type if Aaron is here.
We can say that because she's not here.
Just your last
Oh. What do you think so far? You're not backing out yet, are you? This is a busy one though for us to have 3
We're busy.
items in one month.
That's
That's,
no,
it's a busy meeting.
Working us to
We
it.
get the Google like Notes app and just have it. Just-
And I just continue to sit here and listen to you guys.
did I hear you say that because of the amount of this variance, that you guys are gonna look at the fence?
Oh, yeah, I have already got a draft of what that's gonna look like.
Okay.
Cause they're like, oh, this could have been like 4 meetings we canceled last.
Yeah,
Just put out a flyer. You got a corner lot.
Side here.
We're gonna do development shop.
You need a variance fast pass for the.
Every corner lot in the village come here on,
Knock them all on one
Yeah.
day. All right. Can we go back up to the very top there, part A, and just add something about there not being any visibility problems? Like we noted that, you know, as proposed, there won't be any visibility problems.
Yeah, you said letter A?
I think so, yeah,
First one.
the part about public interest.
Okay, yeah.
I think that was I guess an important piece of the last requests we've done, so just to keep it going.
Does that sound all right?
I mean, that is, I guess, our expectation, or is true with how far forward it is. Like, we just don't expect there to be any visibility issues, right? Okay. It does not.
Does not.
Does not.
Does not. Good catch.
We're all watching your grammar and your spelling.
Okay, so, approval for the, I'd like to motion for approval for the findings of facts.
So moved.
Ms. McCoy,
Yes.
Mr. Harriman,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins.
Yes.
And then I would like to put forth a motion to approve variance VAR-25-2.
Mr. Robbins,
Yes.
Mr. Harriman,
Yes.
Ms. McCoy.
Yes.
Happy fencing.
I'll reach out tomorrow and send the official document. Yep.
And moving on with new business, we have a request for conditional use, CU-25-1 on 297 South Jefferson Avenue for Unit A, Amusement and Recreation Facility. Applicant John Bialik.
So this is, I'll pull up a aerial view here. So this is along US 42. This is the site of an old airport hangar building, and the previous occupant was the Barbell
Barbell.
Gym,
Yep. And they
which
just
they moved to the Maple Street location. But yeah, so the proposed use here is to allow a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu academy in this space. Technically within our code, that falls under SIC code 7999, which is called Amusement and Recreation Services, not elsewhere classified. And so in your staff report, I've kind of printed off just a screenshot from the SIC code website, just showing what that code number is, as well as, you know, some of the industry examples, and Jiu-Jitsu falls under that. So I also wanted to just pull up our code here. This is the B2 Community Business District. So that's chapter 1163 of our code. And under the conditional use section here, scroll all the way down and you see that 7999 is listed there. So it is a conditional use within this district. And that's kind of the purpose of tonight's meeting. I met with Mr. Bialik and the property owner a couple weeks back at the site. We've just been talking about, assuming this conditional use does get granted, we would go forth with doing the zoning compliance application, which is just basically a document from us saying, yes, your use is permitted to be here. So we have the applicant, Mr. Bialik, here. If you have any questions for him, or if you'd like to add anything else at this time.
For the record, John Pilot.
Thank you for your time.
The only thing I'd like to add was that I've been in discussions with the owner of the property to make improvements to the driveway specifically. There's several areas specifically around the drains that need improvement, and he's agreed to repair those parts as well as repaint the lines for the parking spots. And then we've agreed to add some landscaping to help to liven up the area a little bit as well. And we haven't had any sort of discussion or agreement about signage, but once we do, we'll approach you on how to proceed for that as well.
I guess it'd be probably more for Mr. Hudson or Mr. Powers. So, granted, we're dealing with the use or the conditional use of it, but like stuff like the parking spaces or landscape, that'd be more of the zoning code compliance. That's nothing on this end. We're just
Yeah.
strictly
Yeah, you'll
on
be,
the conditional use of, this business at that location.
exactly. And just to let you know on this, so our code uses SIC code. That is a very dated code. It still lists our uses in all of our districts. It lists uses that don't even exist anymore. And then they also don't have many uses that have come up even within the last 20 years are not even listed in there. So ironically tonight, all three of the variance requests we had tonight and the conditional use, all three of the code sections are and have been prior to these submittals under review. So we actually are bringing to P and Z next month, you will see B2 uses, and we're doing away with the SIC code, going to straight uses and updating those uses. So moving forward, this would be a permitted use in the B2 that's going to be proposed. So just to kind of give your conscience a little ease that, if you choose to grant the conditional use, that it will be a
And
permitted
it
use.
is just a timing thing, because when we do propose a new zoning code update, that takes quite a few months to get through the entire process of actually being adopted, because it's got to go through planning commission. And
So
then
this conditional use, approval upon the SIC code.
Yeah.
You cannot, even though we have the information going forward, that's not what we're approving.
Yeah, exactly, you prove that. But just to, I guess, help with your decision making though, it is going forward. Now, it's listed as a conditional use for a reason though. They're conditional, but they're more or less permitted uses. They just need to go through approval process. So this isn't something that's way out of left, even for today's code, that it's so far out of this district that it shouldn't be there. So just know that it is listed in that SIC code underneath that amusement and recreation. So it does fall underneath the conditional uses.
Just out of curiosity, like, how do you see your business? Is there a lot of members? Is it a membership? And this has nothing, it's really just my personal
Sure.
wanting to know what it looks like.
Right, so we currently instruct at Integrity Gymnastics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we operate there and we have about 60 students.
Mhm.
And so we're hoping to retain as many of those as possible with the move. I'm sure we'll have a little bit of attrition, but our goal is to retain every one of them, so,
Wonderful.
and continue to expand.
Will this be a larger facility? for
Yes,
you
very
guys
much
than what
so.
you have?
I think we have about 700 feet now, is that about right? We're gonna go up to about 3,000, so.
Thank you.
You're
Any
welcome.
questions?
That's pretty cut and dry with the SIC
Pretty
codes.
good.
Derek, for you, would you believe that, I guess in my day job, we still use SIC codes?
Yeah.
Really? Yeah. It's
Yeah, it's very,
super.
it's still very
outdated.
common.
Still gets used.
There is, there are several municipalities that still have them in there. Even the newer code that replaced the SIC, even those are still not even up to date, even though it's the newer code. They're still missing lots of stuff. So a lot of communities are going this direction, losing the SIC code or any codes that references uses like that. So like, just for example, our new is going to list, recreation and music will be completely separate. It'll be a group activity. How do we have that listed? It's
Indoor recreation.
indoor recreation. It'll have, we won't list every single use that's in there, but we'll use our judgment on if it falls underneath that umbrella or not. So it doesn't put us up against a wall where we have to do a variance every time something. If it makes sense that it falls underneath one of those categories, it'd be a permitted or a conditional use, however that's listed.
And that's similar to what we're doing here. There isn't necessarily a SIC code for martial arts specifically, but it kind of fits under this code.
Yeah.
Okay.
And even in the new code, it's not going to specifically say anything about martial arts, but it'll be indoor club, indoor recreation, indoor teaching, something like that would be classified under.
Okay.
Okay. Well, if there's no more questions, do I need to close anything?
Close the-
Yeah.
Public hearing.
Close public hearing.
Gavel.
Okay. And so therefore that is closed. We will move forward with the evaluating criteria for findings of facts for CU-25-1 conditional use request. In order to approve an application for conditional use, the board must find that the application meets each of the requirements of ordinance 1138-06C3A-C. Conversely, the application must be disapproved if the board finds that any one of the factors set forth in ordinance 1138-06C5A-C are met. The board notes that there is a close association with the approval and disapproval factors to the extent that their respective sections are near mirror opposites of each other. So ordinance 1138-06C3A, the proposed use is a conditional use of the zoning district, and the applicable development standards established in the zoning ordinance are met.
I would agree. This falls under the catch-all sick code here, the not elsewhere classified.
Okay. Moving forward, ordinance 1138.0663B, the proposed development is in accord with appropriate plans for the area.
I mean, it's the commercial district on there, it's a business that's in there, and
Trading at a gym
Obviously,
for a
it's
martial arts center feels pretty.
basically the same type of business was previously in that place, so I would say really no change with what the use has been.
I would agree. And lastly, do we have to go through? Okay.
Nope, just these three.
Okay, so lastly, we have ordinance 1138.06C3C. The proposed development will be in keeping with the existing land use character and physical development potential of the area.
I would almost mirror what was just said above is,
Yeah.
you know, it's keeping with what was previously in there. It's not physically changing any of the building or anything like that, and it's been.
It sounds like the owner's going to do some parking,
And it's.
So if anything, it's actually going.
gonna
It's
improve.
It's gonna make it
Improve.
nicer.
Yeah.
What hours are you, will the gym be open or that you guys are we running?
Probably early morning on the weekends and then evening during the week.
Okay.
Do you have adult students?
We do. I'd say about half of our students are adults.
Okay.
Do you have many that are here in Plain
A
City?
few. And I'm getting close myself. What was that?
Do
Sorry.
do you have any here that are from Plain City?
We do.
Live in Plain
Yeah,
City?
we have a handful from Plain City, yeah.
Good, good.
They're quite excited about
I
this.
bet.
It's fun. I was on a trip and we did let my buddy, he trained for a lot of times. We just kind of did a drop in
Very cool.
and I got my butt, not just how the effort it is. I mean, it's a great full body workout.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. If you ever want to drop in.
What are you thinking for an open date?
We would like to start around the 1st of April. We've got a few things we've got to square up before then, equipment and setup.
Oh, you're gonna have to fix all your footers. You got
I know.
plaincity.com.
I'm writing a list of all the things we're gonna have to update because of our name change.
Yeah, it's a lot. realize how many things, publications we have and applications we have and business cards and websites, all that stuff. We gotta change all that stuff.
Amazing how much everything's changing as, but I'm now here in my 14th year. Night and day.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler, you were my Cub Scout. You were a Cub Scout, right?
In Cubs, no?
No, not
Wait.
Tyler, I'm sorry, Zach.
I was,
Yeah.
yeah, I made it to, I think, maybe Wolf Scout.
Yeah, you made it to Wolf,
Yeah.
you're in there. Did you go on that trip to Chicago? I'm trying to think. Cause you know Cameron.
Yeah.
Cameron's age.
Yeah.
Did I coach you in baseball too?
Probably, yeah, with your BCBA until I was like 14, 15, yeah.
I recognize all you guys. Literally, there's somebody else I ran into recently. I saw him on the street and it was somebody that I think it was in your class. And I saw him and I was just like, I had to do a double take. I'm like, wait a minute. Kid has a beard now. Probably has 3 kids.
Time flies.
I think you coached my dad and my grandpa too.
I did. Your dad, he's a legend.
Circle life.
All right.
That look good to everyone?
Everyone read those?
Yes.
Okay. I'd like to motion to approve the finding of facts.
Second?
Ms. McCoy?
Yes.
Mr. Harriman?
Yes.
Mr. Robbins?
Yes.
Motion to approve conditional use 25-1.
Second?
Mr. Robbins?
Yes.
Mr. Harriman?
Yes.
Ms. McCoy?
Yes.
Great.
Thank
Thank you for your
you.
time. Thank you.
Do we,
No
we-
discussion
discussion items?
Unless you guys have anything.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?